So in this video, we're going to take a look at the Mount Pleasant Baptist.org website, and I'm going to walk you through the different elements of the site and how to update things on your website. So to start, we're going to log in by adding /wp-admin to the end of your website URL. And then you'll put in the username and password that we gave you. Or if you need us to reset that or update that for you, we can do that for you. So if you need that again, just let us know. But once you get logged in, it'll always be at wp-admin, and then you'll see this screen right here. So basically what I'm going to do is walk you down through this dashboard of all the important elements of your site that you need to know about. And we'll just kind of go through one by one, and I'm going to open another tab so that we can see how everything is looking from the front end and kind of what the viewer's perspective of the site would be. So we'll just go down and I'll talk about what is pertinent and skip over anything that you can ignore. First, just briefly mentioning updates. These are the updates that are available on your site, and we actually regularly go through and update plugins and WordPress themes and all those kinds of things on all of our sites. So if you see any sort of notifications about updates, you're welcome to go manually update them, but you don't have to. Posts would be if you ever wanted to do a blog post. I think this is just something that was said as a draft. It's unimportant, not pertinent. We could just delete it, but if you ever want to start a blog or post that type of content, that's available to you, and we can help you get that set up if that ever becomes something you want to do. Accordion, you don't have this on your site. This is typically used for like an FAQ page where something would be collapsible or decollapsible, and you could have a question with more information, and that's one way to use it. It's not in use on your site, but it can be if you ever do want to use it. So next up would be the media library. This is where all of your images or PDFs, if you have them on the site, would be housed. So if you click on any of your elements, you can look in and see the size, like the dimensions of the elements. So I believe all of these homepage graphics are this size. I want to double check on some of the other ones. So whoever was making these for you all, I'm not sure if that's who's also updating the website, but this is the dimensions of these elements, and so we'll show you how to update those on the homepage, but that's just to show you so you can see. If you ever forget, you can come in here and look. From the media library, you can actually edit the image, you can crop it, you can flip it, you can rotate it, things like that. There's also a specific URL associated with each media file, so whether it's an image or a PDF, it has a specific URL that's associated with it. So if you ever upload something to the site, then there is a URL that you can paste and it'll take you directly to that PDF file. So everything is housed here, but anytime that you need to upload or add media, there's going to be an option within the other part of the site, but you can add it here. You would just click add new and then drag or select items to upload. Up next would be forms. Okay, so you do have forms on your site. Okay, you do have the contact card and the prayer card. So these are pretty straightforward. Basically, if you ever want to add additional fields to these forms, you can go into these spots on the forms. You'll just click it and it'll take you to a page where you can edit it. You can edit the field label. You can click, so there's add field or field settings. So if you add a field, you can come down here and click whatever type of field you want, check boxes, or there's advanced fields with name, date, phone number, all those kinds of things. And then once they're added, you can select it, and then it'll take you to the field settings where you can adjust the field label, you can make it required, and you can drag and rearrange these items. You can delete them. You can preview the form and it'll open it into a new tab, and you can kind of see what it looks like. Obviously it looks a little different, doesn't have the styling of the website, but you can see kind of how it's going to lay out there. So another thing to look at here would be you can also view the entries of the form. So you can either view the entries from here, or if you go back over to where the forms are, you can select entries from here, and then you can view all the entries. You can also export them from the import and export if you ever wanted to do that. The other item to look at would be confirmations or notifications. So for the notifications, this is what email address are these forms going to. So you can click on that and see you can update this to be a different email. It just needs to come from your URL. So the from email always needs to come from your domain. That way they can be ensured that they're delivered correctly. And if you don't use an email from your domain, it'll prompt you to do so. So if you want to create a new form, it's basically going to have a title, a description, and then you'll just start adding fields like those other forms that you saw. And so they can become active or inactive simply by clicking right here. But it looks like we had a VBS form in place that you used for people to sign up for VBS. And so same idea. You would just be adding these different fields so you can drag them wherever you want them to go. So for this field would be just like a single line of text. And then you can, so go to add fields. I can just choose whatever I want. There it is. So I'll select it here, field settings, general. I can name and title this whatever I want. I can go to appearance and I can make it medium, which would make it the same size as the other items. And I can make it required like some of the other items. And then I would just click save once I was done. And again, this can be dragged and rearranged to go wherever you need it. And so you can, if you just need to add a field, kind of drag it over wherever you want. And it'll work the same way when you're creating a new form. Then once you create it, again, you'll just want to go to notifications, make sure you have the right email address in there. And usually I just send a test one through just to be sure. So then I would go to the front end, type in this information, and then submit it and make sure that it goes to the right inbox. So you can do that as well. That's pretty much how forms work. If you run into questions, just let us know. We can walk you through that a little bit more. Under pages, this is where all your different pages are going to be housed, including the home page. So I'm going to go to the home page and we'll start there. So this will be the home page here. And each section of the home page is going to kind of exist in its own section within the home page over here. So the first item is this slider with the graphics that I showed you a moment ago. This is actually edited through Slider Revolution down here. So it's just a short code. You'll never really need to update this. The actual editing will take place over here. So anytime you see a short code, that just means that the actual editing of the element is going to take place somewhere else over here. But if you scroll down, there's copy right here, and this can all be edited just simply like a Word document or however you edit documents, pages or word processor of any type. Bold, italicize, you can align it differently. You can change the size of it. You can hyperlink it to a URL. You could either paste it or find one of your internal pages and hyperlink the copy there. And so this is all this content here. And so it's also, that text is also white. So if you go to formats here, you can see that it's labeled as white text, but that way it still shows up black in the editor so that you can see what you're editing. Additionally, these tabs on this section show you how to adjust the background images and the spacing and all of that. So on this one, we don't have a background image, but we have this background color. If you choose to use this background color on another place on the site, you can just grab that color hex code and copy it from here and paste it in another page section. So in the next section, you can uncollapse it and see. And this one is just that image that's kind of in the background here. And so if you ever want to change that out, it's going to be under background and you would remove it and then just upload or add a new photo here. And you can choose if you want it to be fixed or not, which means it would move kind of with your cursor or not. And you can kind of play around with that. The positioning, you'll also have to kind of adjust if you do a photo that you want to see certain people's faces in. So you can kind of adjust that as needed. The spacing, I think this one's just kind of standard, so nothing too special there. Then in the next section, you've got the service times. Again, you can just edit this however you need. And then the background is this color again in the same place. So I do think that has some animation to it, which is done through custom CSS. So we can change that for you if you need to. But if you need to just edit kind of the copy here or the start times, you would just edit it through here and then click update once you're finished. So basically the same can be said for all these different pages. The different pages are just edited in the same way. And I want to make sure I'm not missing anything. So I'll look at the ministries page really quick, and we don't want to save our changes. Let's see, ministries page. I'm missing it somewhere. It's somewhere. So you can search for certain pages if you need to. I guess these are... Sunday morning Bible study. That's what I'm looking for, I'm thinking. I'm looking at the URL, trying to figure out which page is which here. There we go, Sunday morning Bible study. So again, this copy is located here. You can edit it however you need. And then you'll notice that the other sections are kind of broken up down here. So you've got a section that is a 50% section. So it says width of page 50%, and then 50% down here. And then that's how they become side by side. And then again, the background has a color that's just kind of a gray color that separates the two. And again, you can grab that color code if you need to. So if you wanted to add a page section with more information, you would just click add page section like I just did right there. And then type whatever you want. You can center it, you can make it larger, and then I can even put an image in the background if I'd like. My internet's moving kind of slow. Let's just pick something random. We can put this in the background, and then I can add a color even over the image if I want. So I can grab the color code from up here and grab this and then paste it here. And then I can adjust the opacity a little bit so that you can still see the image through there. I'll click update, and then we'll take a look and see how it looks. I must have done it too fast. Oh, my internet is going so slow. So it hasn't even updated the page yet. There we go. Okay, let's see if it'll adjust it over here. Sorry, my internet is moving slow today. There you go. Now you can see this little section with the image. It's got that great overlay and whatever copy you want to put there. And so obviously we don't want to keep that. So I'm going to go ahead and remove it. So I'll scroll all the way down here. You can see this section, and I can just click remove row, and it'll get rid of it. And if you want to add another one, click add page section. So you're just adding another page section. And these can be collapsed or decollapsed, and then they can be dragged and rearranged. So if you ever wanted to. Okay, so we'll update that because we don't want to keep that. And that's pretty much, so you can see all the content is kind of added in the same type of way. So you can see the sermons are going to be added a little bit differently. These items are going to be added a little bit differently. So we'll check out monthly newsletter, and we'll check out the bulletin for you. So let's look at those two pages. They're going to kind of function in the same way. And then So we want to look at announcements over here. So we've got monthly newsletter, bulletin, and sermons. So under the monthly newsletter, you'll basically just create another bullet point, or you can just remove this one if you prefer. Type whatever you want it to say. You'll upload the PDF here, and then you'll grab that specific URL that we talked about, and then you'll highlight and hyperlink it, and then paste and apply it. And then you'll click update, and your new newsletter will be there. So obviously we don't want to do that. Then we'll go back to the other announcements, which was the bulletin, and it'll be the exact same process. So if you want to, you can add it like additional in a bulleted list, or you can just replace this one. So basically, again, whatever you want that to say, click add media, you'll upload your files. Once it's uploaded, you'll click it and get that URL, and then you'll paste it. And you can just use Command V, or you can remove the hyperlink, and you can hyperlink, paste it in there, and apply it. So obviously, like I said, we don't want to save that, so we won't. And then under sermons, we'll look at, I think we're doing this through sermons just beneath it. Yeah, so this is just a button, and it redirects to the sermon page. So the next thing we'll look at is the sermon videos. So this is how you would add sermons. So we'll click sermon videos, and click add new. You'll give it a title. Scroll all the way down here. You'll get the video ID from the YouTube video, and then you'll put the preacher's name here, and then you'll make sure that the sermon series is right here. If you need to add a new, you can click add new, type in here whatever you want the sermon series to be called, and click add new sermon series. That can also be done over here by clicking sermon series, give it a name, and then a description if you want. These can be clicked and edited if you need to. And then here you can give them an image to go with the sermon series. So if you click on sermons, the new series will have the image with it here on this page. So when you click sermon series, you'll want to make sure you add the name, a description if you want, and then you'll have to kind of go back in, click on it, and find the place to add the image, and that's where you can set the sermon series image, and you'll just make sure you click update. That's usually always at the very bottom or the far right of the page. Then once you add that sermon series, you'll go back to the sermon videos, click add new, give it a name, grab that YouTube ID, video ID, and then the preacher's name, and make sure you select the right sermon series and click publish. So within these sermon series, looks like we're also using audio for some of these. So let's go back to one that's already here. So it looks like we've got audio added for some of them. So if you're not going to do video, you can upload the audio file here in the same exact way. Upload the file, and then you can click add media, and you can actually just select it from there, from wherever the MP3 is, and it'll add it. Click insert, and it'll add it there for you, just the same way this is. So if you do the video, do it that way. If you add the audio, then you would click add media, upload the audio, and then you would just select it and insert into sermon video. It's called video, but it's audio, and then everything else would remain the same. So that's how you would add sermons. If you run into questions or it's not working out, just let us know. We can give you some tips on that, or look into what might be going wrong. So moving on down, we'll skip over some of these items. They're just in use on your site, and they serve a purpose, but there's nothing that needs to be edited. So under appearance, we'll look at both widgets and menus. So we'll start with widgets. This is just going to be what's in the header and footer of your site. And so you've got your logo, the menu, and then in the footer, you're not going to edit much. You can edit the logo if the logo ever changes, and then you can also edit this info here and click save if any of that information changes. Probably not a whole lot here to see. The only other thing to look at under appearance would be menus, and this is going to be what creates these menus on the home page. So this is pretty intuitive. You can see the main menu items are here, and then anything that's a sub menu item is indented a little bit underneath it. So if you click on any of these, you can change the label to say whatever you want. You can, if you add a new page, you'll just click, it'll be over here. You can select it, click add to menu. It's going to show up at the bottom, and then anything here can be dragged and rearranged, can be made a sub menu item by just kind of dragging it where you want it to go. And you can change these labels out. You can also create custom links and just paste any URL here and give it whatever label you want. And you can adjust them as needed. You'll just click save when you make any changes. Then there's also the social media menu, which is at the bottom of your site down here. And these can be changed out if the links change. You can just replace the URL here. And we've got that all set up for you. So probably not too much that you'll need to update, but you can just click save if you make any adjustments there. Under users, this is where you can add a new admin user, or you can reset your password. So you would just click on the user and scroll down to the password and put in your new password there. So if we set you up with a password you don't like, you can change it through this. You can also add new users here as well. You just have to give them the password and information. You just have to have a valid email address that works with it. So we'll skip over a few other things. A lot of these things aren't really in use and aren't really important to talk about. There's a couple other things. Just want to make sure the calendar page. So you have these different events that can be added and deleted. So that's going to be done through my calendar. And if you click on events here, it'll show you your current events, and you can view and edit them through here. So you can delete them. You can change any of the labels, headings, the times, the dates, any of those kinds of things. And then under events, you can click add an event, and you can add a new event. And so you'd give the event a title, a description if you want, start and end time, date. You can give it a repetition pattern. So you can, if it's a weekly event, you can adjust that here. If you want to link out to another page with more information, you can do that there. And you'll just click publish once you're done. So it's pretty intuitive, but if you have any problems with that, just let us know. Then under slider revolution, this will be kind of the last thing we look at here. You have current events slider, which is on the home page. This slider here, and like I said, that's not the right thing, is it? Okay, there we go. So it looks like that one has this eyeball that's crossed out, which means it's not in use. That's why I was confused. So for these slides, basically what I typically tell people is you can, I don't want to go back. You can duplicate what's already here. And that usually, I'm thinking, okay, so these are images on a background. So basically what I would do if you want to add a new slide is just come in and hover over slides, grab any of these. It probably doesn't matter. And then you'll go here to this little, looks like a stack of papers, and click duplicate. It's going to take you directly to the duplicated slide, the new slide that you're looking at. So while you're working on the slide, you can make it invisible so that it's not appearing on the site. And so all you have to do is click this image, double click it, and it's going to take you right to the media library where you can select one of these new graphics. So I'm going to use this graphic, and it's going to take up, I don't want to do that. I didn't mean to click out of there. It's going to take up most of the space, but you're going to have some space here on the edge. And so if you want to change the color in the background, so we'll grab a different, so let's go ahead and, oops, I'm working on this one instead of the duplicated one. Okay, I'm sure I'm confusing you. I apologize. So it was messing me up a little bit here. So let's start from the beginning. We'll come to the slider, click the pencil, and we can edit the slides. From here, I'm going to duplicate the slide, which I did, which is all the way down here now. So I'm going to make it invisible while I'm editing it. And then all you have to do is double click it, choose the new item. So either upload it or choose what's already here and insert it. And then the only other thing you're going to want to do is change the background color to match better the color that you have in the actual image. So you can figure out the hex code for this, or, change it to whatever you want. That might look good. And then you'll click save, and that's all you need to do. So I'm going to go ahead, and then you would drag it if you wanted it to be first up here, and then make sure to make it visible. And I'm going to go ahead and delete this because we don't want that. And then you would click save anytime you make any changes. And so that pretty much takes you through all the things on the site. One final thing I want to point out is that once you make changes, under WP Rocket here, you want to just scroll down and click clear cache. That way, anybody who's visited your site recently will not cache the old things from the site, and they will load those new changes that you've added. And that's the only other really thing that you need to know. We've walked through all of these elements, and that's going to be tagged below in the YouTube comments so that you can go directly to wherever you need to go. There are other items in place here. If you want to add other plugins, just let us know. We can try to walk you through that, but there's probably nothing that needs to be deleted or removed off your site, so you can kind of just leave everything else alone and work with the elements that need to be adjusted. Again, if you need help or run into any issues, please reach out and let us know, and we'll be happy to work with you and troubleshoot and figure that out. So hopefully this will get you off to a really great start.